Hi, this is Andy Greenberg with the second round of interviews about the candidacy for the 3rd district in the Miami School District. And of course, one of the great candidates that is going to be running or is running is Marcela Gomez Buglamoni. You've seen an interview with her before, but now you're going to be seeing something totally different. It's very simple and very easy to have a candidate come on and express what their opinions are, what their platform is. But we really need to hear from people who go to the school system to see what their feelings are. And we have with us right now Oscar De Leon. Who is Oscar De Leon? None other than Marcela's son. So he's going to be talking to us about his experiences in school, and we're all going to learn from that and then understand why Marcela's candidacy is so important to every student in the district. So let's begin. Number one, I want to welcome you, Oscar, and very much appreciated you sharing with us a lot of your opinions as to what is going on in the schools. So let me start off with this question. I think it's a pretty easy one. It's not true and false. It's not multiplication. It's none of that stuff. This is not a test. But an interesting question. Why did you go to school?
There are several determinants as to why I went to school. Me personally, I like learning. I've never been like a straight A student, but I've always been fascinated by education. Like I like lectures, and I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I really like lectures and like hearing certain things. Mathematics isn't my strong suit, but in terms of history and English, I really like that type of stuff. And essays, I also really like writing. But obviously the social aspect of high school came a lot into play as well. Like, my friends that were there motivated me to go, and it kind of is just like this social construct, like you grow up, you go to school, like, and so that's just normal. And I guess I didn't really think about it too much. It was just, you pursue your education, so on and so on. Uh,
So
yeah.
it's basically for the education and for the socialization. And of course, I forgot to mention, shame on me, that you recently graduated
Yes.
as a senior. So congratulations on your graduation.
Thank you.
So when you went to school with the mission of learning, which you said you'd like to learn, you'd like to hear lectures, and of course you'd like to socialize, did you get everything you wanted out of your school experience? Did it meet your expectations?
Out of my school experience, I wouldn't say I got everything I wanted. There's like a lack of morale amongst teachers, in my opinion. And I know that this is for my mother's campaign, but I'm one to like tell the truth about my opinions.
I want you to be open. That's what this is about.
I know, but I'm just stating that for whoever views the video. Like I'm vouching, I'm trying to just let everyone know that I like telling the truth, and my mom can vouch for me that I won't give like false opinions about things in order to support my mom's campaign. But I do think there's like a huge lack of morale, at least amongst public school teachers. I don't necessarily know why, but I do know that there's a huge difference between private schooling and public schooling, and the teacher salaries at private schools are most likely higher, and they have a shorter group, a smaller group of students so they can concentrate on those students more. And I've been to private and I've been to public schooling, so I can share both aspects of that. And so I think in terms of the education part, like there are some teachers that are heavily motivated and use their class as a means of getting everyone to learn, but it's rare, because they have to meet certain expectations. And so usually people who fall behind, they'll continue falling behind. It's very unlikely for someone who starts doing very poorly in a class to make a very significant change and get better grades in that class. Like usually, like if you're a CB student, you'll stay on that track, and if you're failing or getting D's, you'll stay on that track, and if you're getting B's and A's or A's, then you'll stay on that track. It's very unlikely to interchange between that.
So
Also,
Oscar, it's very perceptive for a student to recognize high morale and low morale in teachers. So what were some of the signals that a teacher with low morale gave in a classroom? Obviously, they didn't come in and say, we're going to have a lousy day today. My morale is low. The system stinks and it's impacting me. Obviously, they didn't say that. But how could you tell that morale was low by when someone came into the classroom as a teacher?
um, well, I don't want to speak for every public school because, it's different everywhere, but at least where I went, Michael M. Krupp, um, there was I mean, when you enter the school, like in general, like there's kind of like a gloomy vibe. Like I'll not explain it, but a lot of the students, like it's just like everyone's so pessimistic. Like no one wants to give anything a chance sometimes. And so when you come in, like they have these comments that's like, oh, like Crop looks like actual prison, and like they don't like stop like like saying things that kind of just give everyone um this sort of everyone like likes being socially accepted. Like it's a human, it's naturally, it's a natural occurrence. And so if everyone's like bashing on the school, everyone's just going to keep doing it because it's humorous for us, but in reality it's creating like a very, it's deeper than that. It's creating like a not hatred for the school, but it's very unlikely to have someone come up to you and be like, I love Michael M. Krupp. You know what I'm saying? Like you can love the experiences you've had within the school, but the school itself usually doesn't have this huge like reputation of being amazing, period. How I knew that teachers had low morale is that, you know, there's just so much I want to touch up on. I don't know but so in terms of regular classes and then honors and then AP, you can see like the difference in each course. Like I've been in each one, like I've been in AP honors and regular, so I understand. So the regular teachers usually they have like the least amount of morale, and I don't necessarily know if that's like a salary difference depending on how difficult the curriculum you're teaching is, but um but usually regular classes, like they have the most students because it's not advanced, it's the regular curriculum, and so they have, it's like gen eds, like their requirements, you need to take them, and so they have the most people, and so the teachers kind of let you get away with more, and because it's like a complete lack of focus, like there'll be people talking, and like in regular classes usually like they'll give you work and you have to do it, or they'll show you like videos, and it's just a very like poor like curriculum, and there's some classes that are difficult, but for the ones that I took, like I remember I took world cultural geography, and don't get me wrong, like Miss Pierre, very good teacher, like, but it was a very easy course, and so I can understand why other people weren't as engaged, because some of the teachers don't try, in my opinion. I don't know, but there are some that do. Mr. Tanasio did, but they kind of like get sick of like, in my opinion, I feel like they get sick of like certain like dealing with the same things every single day, and like who wouldn't, like who wants to deal with a kid that like is consistently screaming or being disrespectful and isn't following the curriculum and doesn't want to do work. It's not like they're trying to do their best in their ability to like push everyone ahead, but it's like how could they, like with the resources they have, with so they kind of just, it affects their mood, it affects, I mean,
So,
everything.
so it sounds like a twofold problem, and I'm going to suggest that what you're saying is, and if you think I'm wrong, by all means tell me, that the teacher's morale sometimes it's based upon the quality of the student and the attitude of the student when they first enter into the classroom. That attitude can be biased based on a person's stress factor when they get into the classroom, based on peer pressure and social pressure before they actually walk into the room itself to begin the learning process. And that can bring them down. And when they get down, other students also get down because of peer pressure. And then, of course, that drives the teacher down, because then the teacher says, what's the use? I can't motivate these kids. And the possibility exists that if you can get to a student's mind before they enter that classroom and have them feel self-confident, have them have a sense of self-esteem, have them have a sense of self-worth, and a sense of, wow, like you have, when I finish school, there's something in there for me, which is why I like the learning experience. If you can correct those things up front, then would you agree or disagree that this teacher would potentially elevate themselves to a higher level of skill?
Yes, it's possible, and what you said was mostly correct. I mean, I agree with most of what you said. But at the same time, like, we're very young, and it's very difficult for us to interpret, like what we're feeling, and that takes a certain amount of maturity and life
Yeah,
experience. And I think, like, what's wrong with the school system, it doesn't start in high school. It starts from from the beginning, because like people in general, like, if you're told, like, you're dumb, or like you're told, like, or you consistently get bad grades, like, you, as you were saying, you completely just, you don't want to do it because you don't even believe in yourself anymore. I don't know.
yes,
And like, I've dealt with that also. Like, people like doubt other people's intelligence based off of like eyesight, like how you look, or like like how you
sure.
act.
Oh yeah,
And like, it doesn't, like, your intellectual capabilities shouldn't be based off of how you act outside of the classroom, or and also, like, there's different types of intelligences. How you do on one test shouldn't be the determinant of how you're going to do throughout the rest of the school year, or how you're going to do in life. And people really, because we're so young, and young people are really insecure, and we really give value to others' opinions. And so once you have this mindset, like, that I'm not able to achieve these types of grades. I mean, how are you even going to achieve it if you don't believe you can achieve it? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, my
no,
mom
you're
used,
doing fine.
my mom used to tell me, like, try and aim for an A, so at least you'll get a B. You know what I'm saying? But
Yes,
people are trying to aim for an A. People
yes,
like, I'm trying to pass.
right,
Like, I'm trying to get the credit. Like, but they
right.
won't.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, like, if you don't even believe you'll get a good grade, if you're not even trying to get that higher GPA to open doors for yourself and open these opportunities for yourself, then,
yes,
I mean, no one's gonna do it for you. Everyone's quite. I mean, I think, it's everyone's naturally selfish. We're more inclined to help ourselves before we help others. At least when we're younger, and so,
right.
no, very unlikely to find someone that will be willing to, like, tutor you and, like, do it, like, consistently for a long time without some type of compensation. There's people that are like, oh, I'm an honor society, I help tutor people all the time, but you're doing that to get to college. You're not doing that, like, there's different reasons why people do it. Yes, you may feel good because you do it, but there's even, like, a psychological type of thing that says, like, people only do good things in order to, like, feel good about themselves. I don't know if you've heard of this before, but
I have.
so it's just flawed from it. Look, I'm
So
not saying it's completely imperfect,
right.
but it needs work.
Sure, sure. It does need work, and again, I think we're in agreement. If you attack the problem before they get into the classroom by building up self-confidence and self-esteem, self-worth, which is basically what you're describing, it will help the student and the others that are around that person. I'll let you know a secret that some people are. Go ahead.
Sorry, but I understand that one of my mom's ideas is to implement, like, group therapy, and I just don't think that's, like, I don't know, like, if that's what you're referring to in terms of developing self-worth, I think that's important. I do think it's important to develop self-worth from the very beginning, but I don't know. I don't necessarily think that may be the solution.
And that's a very honest opinion. But I will ask you this: and have you ever been part of a so-called group therapy, or I'll even change the expression, any therapy at all?
No, yeah, of course. And
Okay,
I think it's necessary, but I mean, not necessary. Not everyone has, like, problems that they need to vent to. Some people can
right,
handle it with them by themselves, but
right,
I think that, it does help. But
yes.
the thing is that
It does. Will it help everybody? The answer is no. Will it help many people? The data says yes, but it doesn't help everybody. And I want to just point out something that you said, that anybody who's in education knows, has heard of this test. and it's not a test that you're going to be involved in, but they ran a test one time, and they had a teacher teach the same exact course with the same material to a pre-selected group of students who fell into a certain control group based on income, demographics, family background, etc. And then they gave them a test. This is very interesting. And what they did was half the students got the test, and on top of the test, they had to put a check mark who they were, meaning were they Hispanic, were they Jewish, were they African American, were they Caucasian, like that. The other half of the class got the exact same test. They did not have to write who they were. They just went ahead and took the test. What they found was, which is awful, but it really proved the point that you're saying. Those students who checked off that they were African American scored lower than those students who are African American, but didn't have to identify themselves.
Yeah,
Those students who were Asian or Jewish, and they checked that they were Asian or Jewish, got higher grades than their Jewish and Asian counterparts that did not have to check off who they were.
yeah, I know.
And the conclusion of that test basically said that they felt society branded them, and as a result of that, that's the expectation that they were told to perform.
It's a whole different thing. I mean, yes, it can be helped, but it's just, I mean, that doesn't even originate from the school system. That originates from slavery. I mean, we took.
Yes, it does, but yet it doesn't mean it's not correctable. That's the point.
I do think it's correctable, and I do think we should instill some type of self-worth into everyone.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that doesn't necessarily originate simply from our school systems.
It doesn't currently. So here's a loaded question.
In general, and it's just messed up.
It is. And parents, most parents, I don't care if they went to, if they have a PhD, most parents, many parents, don't know how to do that. Trained people do. So my question to you is, and you can say no, is it the school's responsibility not only to educate a student for academic success in life, in addition to that, to mental success in life, so that when they get out of the system, they have self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem, in addition to academics? Is that a school, should that be a school responsibility? And that's a loaded question.
This is what I think. I don't think it should be the school's responsibility because, okay, so I remember watching, but I'm going to elaborate on this. And
Yeah.
it's not like black and white. So I remember, like, I watched something that said, I don't remember exactly which country, but I believe it was Finland. And so Finland had like one of the lowest scores in terms of like education. I don't know how to explain it. Like they had very like a very like poorly graded education system. And so what they did is that they made becoming a teacher like an actual like very professional, like prestigious career. And so instead of getting a bachelor's like you do in the United States, they had to get a master's to become a teacher. And now they're like now they have an amazing education system. So they made being a teacher a prestigious career. So my opinion on that is I don't think all teachers have the capability yet of, creating this, sense of self-worth. And I don't think that schools have the duty of, giving students like not only success academically, but mentally as well. But what I do think is that the only way to give students pure and like actual academic excellence is by giving them, self-worth and things of that nature as well. So I don't think it's a responsibility, but what I do think is that if we're really gonna, bring up our education system, that has to occur.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Well, so if it has to occur and outside of the school system, there are not qualified people to do it, then who's going to do it? If there are qualified people in the school system and they should do it because you agree that it should be done, There's no people outside of the school system, many are that are not capable, and if they are, they charge a lot per hour. And if the school system provides it as part of the school process where there's no additional
Yes,
charge,
there's no
that's
doubting that it would be beneficial. I'm not opposed to it whatsoever. I just don't think it's necessarily the school system's job, like duty, like they have to do it. But if it was available, why wouldn't you take it? That's
got it. Got it. Great. Fantastic. Thank you. So all these problems that you talked about, which were very important, and man, that was eye-opening. Okay. How did that impact your education? If it did.
it did. I remember I had a teacher named Miss Hawkins.
And we probably don't want to name teachers, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Can we
That's
like
okay.
that, or maybe? Well, all right. So I remember I had a teacher in ninth grade, and it's just I'll give it from a general standpoint, but when you feel like a teacher is giving up on you or giving up on their class, it's like how else like are you gonna feel? Like if the person that's supposed to be teaching you the curriculum doesn't believe you are capable of learning and comprehending the curriculum, how are you supposed to learn the curriculum? Like how are you? They're not even putting in the full 100% effort into teaching you. How are you supposed to like learn? I don't know how else to explain that.
You explained it beautifully. You explained it beautifully. And that is not only prevalent in education, it's also prevalent in other professions in the corporate world. If someone is put in a position and they don't believe they can do it, or they don't believe the team that they're leading can do it. So that's where leadership skills come into play outside of the school system. But you're absolutely right. But I think, again, if somebody comes into a classroom and gives the teacher the impression that they can be taught, then the teacher will respond that way. And many times at homes, and it's regrettable. Go ahead.
I'm saying it's a cycle. Like
yes,
they both negatively feed each other. You know, it's not just off of one end.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. But yet it is correctable. So that's that. So that impacts a high performing student like you. When you see something like that occur, that bothers you, that frustrates you, if I'm reading it correctly, and that impacted your education.
Because everyone, no matter what anyone says, I feel like most people want to be successful.
Okay.
Most people want to be happy. Most people, and a lot of the time, you know, a sense of self-worth comes from being productive. You know, when you're lying in bed or you're doing things that aren't really benefiting your life, it's not like, and people will deny what I'm saying and whatever, but this is what I think. I feel like when you put hard work into something and you end up getting good results, you feel good about it, and that's period. And so, and sorry, I accidentally hit something.
No, you're fine. So I'm going to ask a question which is a very sensitive one. In schools, vaping, drugs, all the substance abuse that is going on, do you think, and here I'm a novice, so here I'm just shooting from the hip, do you think that the lack of self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth drives a student to rely on these substances in order to make them feel good?
It's not necessarily to make them feel good. It's not that simple.
Okay, expand on it.
I do think it 100% contributes to the drug abuse and vaping and all of these things. Because when you get introduced to something that's so heavily, you know, endorsed by the people surrounding you, you know, obviously you're going to want to try it. Obviously you're going to, you know, maybe do it, and you're going to continue doing it. And maybe initially, and people say, no, I would never fall into peer pressure. No, I would never, you know, I don't care about other people's opinions. Well, I highly doubt that. And so, you know, and if you do it, you may, it may be out of and wanting to find friends and things of that nature, but then it eventually becomes, you know, something you rely on. It becomes a dependence.
Okay,
So I don't think it's used to make you feel good. I think it's used to make you not feel, not like vaping and things like that, but I think like drugs and things, it's kind of used to just push away negative feelings that you have about yourself or about
Right. Right. So I was onto something, but kind of you clarified it and made it even better. But yet the three common denominators, both in classroom participation, which the teacher responds and reacts to, and a person's reliance on substance abuse, are all interactive. And I'm not a genius figuring this out, because this is what people know: is self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-value, and value to others. And once you target on that and help solve that, many of the problems will, in fact, not all, and not to everybody, but a lot of the problems, in fact, could dissipate and disappear.
I think so, but it can't start with high schoolers.
Oh, I agree with you. There's no question about it.
So
It's got to start at a younger age. You're absolutely right.
more about what people are telling you, and you say it doesn't matter, and you say, okay, I know, I got this, and that's not the fact. It's to start from a very young age, because that's really
You're absolutely right. Oscar, anything else that you want to add to this discussion as we come down to wrapping it up?
vote for Marcelo. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, what?
I said vote for Marcelo, but
No.
no, that's it.
All right. Well, first of all, on behalf of everybody that's listening, your insights, your honesty, your in-depth analysis was, for lack of a better expression, at least on my part as a listener, was remarkable. I learned more about students and schooling than anything in terms of impact problems directly from a source than I ever thought possible. And I want to thank you for revealing some of the insights that are impacting students from the time they walk into a classroom of preschool until the time that they move forward and graduate in high school, and hopefully continue on to whatever educational opportunities they have in order to fulfill their career goals. Mm-hmm. So again, on behalf of everybody, thanks a million for your remarkable insights and just absolutely tremendous observations about life.
I do have one thing I'd like to add.
Please. Though. Yes.
And I don't know if it's, but so I do agree that we should be instilling some sort of self-worth. I mean, self-worth in general into every single person. It's not like if you're a student or not, just everyone. But I don't necessarily, I haven't been keeping up with my mother's campaign so in-depthly, but I don't necessarily know if her methods in which she's trying to make that happen are the best. So I do think it should occur, and I think she's on the right track, but there should be, she should consult other people and create like a actual like plan and like things like this, like, and like, because it's easy to say things, and it's easy to say things will work, but it's not that simple. Every single person is different, and not every student, even if you bring a therapist into a school that is qualified in doing these things, not every single person is going to be okay with this therapist. Not everyone will like relate with this therapist, and people have, there's this word called Sonder, and Sonder is the realization that every single person has their own life and they have their own vivid memories, and so I feel like that should really be taken into consideration when giving kids therapy or things like that, because not everyone's going to be comfortable doing that. There's people at a very young age that become very isolated and alone because of the way they were brought up so young, and it's very difficult to get people to crack. And it's very difficult to tell whether or not people are faking it just to, because it's a part of the curriculum. They may feel pressured to, because there's people surrounding them doing it. So I do think that, like just doing things in a group setting sometimes can be quite it can be difficult to interpret if it's working for everyone because.
Sure. So I'm going to try and summarize what you said, and please make sure I say it correctly, or make any changes as you feel
Sorry,
comfortable with.
nervous, that's why I'm not able to explain everything I wanted to
No,
say.
you're doing fine. No, you're perfect. So I just want to summarize. What you're saying is you agree with the goal of your mom, but you don't have enough information as to how she wants to accomplish it, and your sense is that in addition to her own thoughts, once elected, she should make sure that she gets input from other professionals around her to create all-encompassing programs that will satisfy and achieve what the end goal is.
Yeah, and I feel like it should benefit every student equally.
Yes, and every student equally. Yes. So if that's a fair summary, I'm going to conclude with one other thing. I think it's going to make you laugh. So here's my vision. Here's my vision. My vision is your mom gets elected. Your mom gets elected and is in the district for 16 years and then retires like the gentleman who's retiring after 16 years worth of service. And then, based on your insights, your knowledge of the system, your brilliance in understanding what needs to be done, I told you I'd make you laugh, you're the one that runs to fulfill her candidacy or her position after 16 years. And I think the family, all the voters, all the students, all the residents of District 3 would benefit from that type of representation. What do you think? You're going to announce your candidacy 16 years from now?
I think it's possible.
There you go. There you go. Oscar, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I hope everybody who's been listening got as much out of it as I did, or if not more. As part of Marcella's campaign, I hope to see you again when we have additional insightful interviews as to what is going on with the school system and, of course, what the solutions are. My name is Andy Greenberg. Oscar, again, thank you so much. Enjoy and be successful, be safe, and be healthy. So long.